Steam is dropping some absolutely insane deals right now, the kind of discounts you don't see often. Even during the biggest sales of the year, we're talking massive AAA price cuts, huge 90% drops on fan favorite titles, classic bundles hitting their lowest prices ever, and even a couple of games you can grab completely free if you act fast. And the best part is, these aren't filler picks or shovelware. These are genuinely great games, high rated, popular, and absolutely worth adding to your library while the discounts are still live. So let's jump straight into it. Right at the start, we've got All-Star Fruit Racing at 90% off, and this is one of those games that doesn't try to be realistic. It just focuses on pure arcade fun. You've got bright, colorful tracks, a variety of carts, and a unique system where you combine different fruit juices to create power-ups during races. That mechanic actually adds a bit more depth than you'd expect, because you're constantly deciding which abilities to build. It's fast, chaotic, and perfect for short sessions, especially if you're playing with friends. The next Xenon Racer also at 90% off, and this one leans more into a futuristic style. You're racing high-speed vehicles powered by experimental technology on neon-lit tracks filled with sharp turns and long straights. It's still arcade at its core, but it requires a bit more control, especially when it comes to drifting and managing speed through corners. The sense of speed is strong, and if you enjoy fast-paced racing with a slightly more technical feel, this is definitely worth checking out. Up next, Layers of Fear at 90% off, and this is a psychological horror game that focuses heavily on atmosphere and storytelling. The entire experience is built around exploring a constantly shifting environment where rooms change, hallways loop, and nothing feels stable. Instead of relying on cheap jump scares, the game builds tension slowly, making you question what's real and what's not. It's one of those games that pulls you in with its mood and keeps you on edge the whole time. And right after that, Layers of Fear 2 also at 90% off, which takes the core ideas of the first game and expands them into a more cinematic experience. This time, the story takes place on a mysterious ship, and the narrative dives deeper into themes like identity, memory, and performance. The pacing feels bigger, the set pieces are more memorable, and overall, it feels like a more refined version of what the first game started. And next, The Wild 8 at 90% off, and this is a survival game that really shines when you play it in co-op. You're stuck in a frozen wilderness after a plane crash, and everything around you is a threat, from freezing temperatures to wildlife. You'll be gathering resources, crafting tools, building shelter, and trying to stay alive as long as possible. There's also a mystery behind what happened, which gives you a reason to keep exploring beyond just survival. Before we get into the video, I want to share a tool that will definitely save you money on Steam games. It is called KrakenKeys. If you are tired of overpaying or spending hours hunting for deals, KrakenKeys is a completely free game price comparison platform built specifically for Steam. It automatically scans over 20 legitimate stores, including places like Fanatical and CDKs, to instantly find you the cheapest price available. The best part is that there are absolutely no ads, no cluttered interface, and you do not even need to create an account. You just search for a game and you immediately see the cheapest price. It is incredibly fast and clean. You can easily compare the standard Steam store price against other platforms to see exactly how much you are saving. You even have the option to toggle specific shops on or off, and you can set up custom price alerts so you get notified the second a game drops to your target price. Also, you definitely have to check out their Steam library and wishlist calculators. You just paste your Steam profile URL and it instantly calculates the total value of your library, or shows you exactly how much your entire wishlist would cost at the absolute cheapest prices available across all those stores. KrakenKeys is completely free to use. Start saving money on your games right now by clicking the link in the description below. And next, theHunter. Call of the Wild at 90% off, and this is one of the most immersive and realistic hunting games you can find. It's not about fast action, it's about patience and awareness. You're tracking animals through massive open environments, paying attention to footprints, sounds, wind direction, and timing your shots carefully. The pacing is slow, but that's exactly what makes it so relaxing and rewarding if you enjoy more thoughtful gameplay. Up next is Old World at 90% off, and if you're into strategy games, this one really stands out from the usual formula. It mixes classic empire building with a strong focus on characters and generations. Your leaders age over time, form relationships, develop traits, and all of that directly impacts how your empire evolves. It feels more personal and dynamic than most strategy games, and it rewards long-term planning. And next we have Metro 2033 and Last Light at 90% off, and this is easily one of the strongest story-driven deals here. These games are known for their incredible atmosphere, where every location feels detailed and alive, even in a destroyed world. You're exploring underground tunnels, managing limited resources, and constantly dealing with tension and danger. The story is engaging, the world is immersive, and it's a must-play if you enjoy narrative-focused shooters. Up next, GreedFall at 90% off, and this is a great pick if you enjoy RPGs with meaningful choices. You're exploring a mysterious island filled with different factions, political conflicts, and supernatural elements. Your decisions affect relationships, quests, and outcomes, which gives the game a lot of replay value. It has that classic RPG structure with companions, dialogue options, and multiple ways to approach situations. And next, Crime Boss, Rockay City at 90% off, and this one is more interesting than it might seem at first. It combines heist gameplay with a campaign that changes depending on your success or failure. You're building a crew, planning jobs, and trying to take control of the city step by step. It's especially fun in co-op where coordination matters and every mission can play out differently depending on how things go. Up next is the Last Campfire at 90% off, and this is a more calm, story-driven experience that focuses on atmosphere and emotional storytelling. You're exploring a quiet world, solving puzzles, and helping lost souls find their way forward. The gameplay is simple, but the presentation, music, and overall tone make it really memorable. It's one of those games you play to relax and just enjoy the journey. And next, Steelrising at 90% off, and this is a Souls-like game with a really unique setting during an alternate version of the French Revolution. Instead of traditional enemies, you're fighting mechanical soldiers, which gives the combat a fresh feel. It follows that familiar formula where you need to learn patterns, manage stamina, and stay precise, but the setting and visual style help it stand out from other games in the genre. Up next, The Surge 2 at 90% off, and this is easily one of the stronger sci-fi Souls-like games out there. The combat is fast and aggressive, and the key mechanic is targeting specific enemy body parts to get better gear. That adds a layer of strategy because you're not just fighting to survive, you're also thinking about what you want to loot. It feels very satisfying once you get the hang of it. And next, The Darkness 2 at 90% off, and this is a really unique shooter that blends gunplay with supernatural abilities. You're using both weapons and demonic powers at the same time, which creates a very dynamic combat system. The pacing is fast, the story is dark, and the overall experience still feels different from most shooters even today. Up next, Sherlock Holmes, Crimes and Punishments at 90% off, and this is perfect if you enjoy slower, more thoughtful gameplay. You're solving cases, collecting clues, analyzing evidence, and making decisions that actually affect how each story ends. The game doesn't guide you too much, which makes it more rewarding when you figure things out on your own. Up next, White Shadows at 90% off, and this one stands out mainly because of its visual style. It's a cinematic platformer with a dark, almost surreal world where everything is built around symbolism and atmosphere. The gameplay itself is fairly straightforward, but the way the game presents its world and themes makes it feel more like an artistic experience than a typical platformer. And next, Silver Chains at 90% off, which is a classic first-person horror experience. You're exploring a dark mansion, solving puzzles, and slowly uncovering the story behind what happened there. It focuses more on tension and atmosphere than action, which makes it a good choice if you enjoy slower, more traditional horror games. Up next, SteamWorld Dig 2 at 90% off, and this is one of those indie games that just feels great to play. You're digging through the ground, collecting resources, upgrading your abilities, and gradually unlocking new areas. The progression is very satisfying, and it's easy to get hooked once you start improving your tools and exploring deeper. And next, of Orcs and Men at 90% off, and this is an RPG that gives you a different perspective compared to most games in the genre. Instead of playing as the typical hero, you're on the other side of the conflict, which makes the story feel a bit more unique. It's not the most polished RPG out there, but it has interesting ideas and is definitely worth checking out at this price. Up next, The First Tree at 90% off, and this is more of a short, emotional experience than a traditional game. You're exploring peaceful environments, following a narrative that connects two different stories, and focusing more on atmosphere than gameplay mechanics. It's simple, but the music, pacing, and storytelling make it something that can really stick with you. And next, Clid The Snail at 90% off, and this one is definitely unique. It's a top-down shooter, where you play as a snail, but the tone is much darker than you'd expect. The combat can be surprisingly challenging, with a focus on positioning, timing, and managing your weapons carefully. It's one of those games that stands out just because it tries something different. And finally, Graveyard Keeper at 100% off until April 13th, and this is one of those deals you really don't don't want to miss, because once you claim it, it's yours to keep permanently. It's a management game where you're running a medieval graveyard, but it quickly becomes much deeper than that. You're crafting, managing resources, making questionable decisions, and optimizing everything for profit in a very dark and humorous way. It's surprisingly addictive once you get into it. And right after that, LivingForest also at 100% off until April 13th, and again you can claim it and keep it forever. This one offers a completely different experience, blending strategy elements with a more relaxed, nature-focused theme. It's about balance, planning, and understanding how different systems work together, and it's a nice change of pace compared to more intense games. Thanks a lot for watching, and a huge thanks to everyone who's been supporting the channel. We're already close to 9,000 subscribers, and I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and helped us reach that milestone. I appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you in the next video.